Yo, what it is, YouTube? It's your boy Nitsa coming back with another bullseye of a video here today on the channel. I wanted to talk about something that caught my attention a little bit, Joe Chiccarelli's vocal strip plugin, and exposing us to a little workflow that a lot of the professional engineers like to use. It's something that's very different, but I believe that this type of workflow specifically is very good for the modern type of like vocal processing. And I'm gonna go into it why I believe that is the case and why I think this plugin is great. But the most important thing is I'm going to play the music so we can get a general idea of what's going on right now, and then we'll talk a little bit more. Okay, let's listen.
Mama was down bad, them niggas ain't give a fuck, so when I'm grinding, just know I'm doing it for the fam. My old boy was never there, so I had to be kinda man. Tell my mama them to chill, we just gotta stick to the plan. Yeah. Ever since I jumped out the womb, been trying to make it. Mama, I done made it to college, yeah, I done graduated. All I had to do is sit back and let these niggas think. Yeah, I had to really come up and stay up out the way, cause ain't no love in these streets. All these niggas act like they your brother, but they creep. I put my 2 feet in, cause I'm 10 toes down. I'm saying that I love you, cause I'm hoping you gon' hold me down. Mama, I'm hurting, I've been feeling cursed. Every time when something going good, we hit reverse. My sister hold it down, she been trying to make it work.
All right, so the main thing I want to talk about is Joe's plugin and how I feel like this specific workflow is very interesting to me. So we got to understand something. The very first thing that back in the day when people were making music and they were in the studio, just due to the overall budgets that they had, they never really necessarily had time to actually mix and record at the same time. So when people were doing tracking phase, back in the day, they would record their mix and everything, get everything taken care of, tracked right and everything. Then they would send it off to a mixing engineer to actually do the mixing process. It wasn't the same way as it is today, where it's more peer-to-peer, where an artist can just pick their engineer. Usually the record label had kind of like a contract with the studio to record and do all of their production and stuff like that. So people didn't usually get to pick their engineer, the main thing I'm trying to say. But nowadays we have all the technology and the interfaces and all that stuff to where somebody can just send you the vocal and it kind of already sounds very done and very completed. So that's why mixing right now is really about the incremental things more than ever, because back in the day it used to be like, oh, well, these are my raw tracks, make it a good song. But right now, especially where we're at with even hip hop music, it's more like a peer-to-peer. Oh, I recorded this at a studio. Can you mix this and put the finishing touches on it? A lot of the times we're getting songs where you only got to make it 5% better, but it's harder to make something 5% better than to make it 35% better. It's harder to be in a car and go from 100 miles an hour to 120 than it is from going 0 miles per hour to 50. Okay, because you're starting from a lower floor. So that brings me to Joe Chiccarelli's plugin, which I think is incredible. This type of processing chain where he's given us 3 all different types of parallel compressors. The first one being 1176 with the slow attack, just to give it a little bit of that aggressiveness, that up forwardness, that grit, that bite that we love from 1176. Then after that we have something like I believe it's the Fairchild 670, which is a very smooth tube compressor, but that's known for giving a lot of weight, those tubes and those transformers. And then after that we also have the heavy parallel comp, which is amazing to me as well because it's a hybrid between a CL1B and also a Universal Audio 175, which is another very new compressor. So the main thing that I'm trying to get here is usually in the modern day of mixing, you kind of don't want to step over what the artist has already done. Usually when people are sending you music to mix specifically, you got to understand that usually sometimes the vibe of the actual music is already in there. So as an engineer, I'm finding myself as a modern engineer nowadays that you can't be in a situation where you're trying to recreate the wheel. So parallel compression is an incredible way of just adding what you want. Let's bypass the plugin in and out.
Mama was down bad, them niggas ain't give a fuck, so when I'm grinding, just know I'm doing it for the fam. My old boy was never there, so I had to be kinda man. Tell my mama them to chill, we just gotta stick to the plan. Yeah. Ever since I jumped out the womb, been trying to make it. Mama, I done made it to college, yeah, I done graduated. All I had to do is sit back and let these niggas think. Yeah, I had to really come up and stay up out the way, cause ain't no love in these streets. All these niggas act like they your brother, but they creep. I put my 2 feet in, cause I'm 10 toes down. I'm saying that I love you, cause I'm hoping you gon' hold me down. Mama, I'm hurting, I've been feeling cursed. Every time when something going good, we hit reverse.
So as you can pay attention, when I brought in those parallel compressors, you heard all of this movement, this depth, this chest, this tone and weight. And that's what I'm trying to get you guys to understand, that usually how I process my vocals personally is I get everything cleaned up. Then I actually start to bring in a couple of different types of parallel compressors. The good thing about Joe's plugin is that it already puts you in the ballpark and it gives you a couple options. Great starting point to help you get a vocal sound really quickly. And the main thing that I'm trying to get at today is the way that Joe, with this plugin, he's given us like his perspective on making music, which is to be non-invasive to a vocal. That's what I always try to prioritize when I'm recording somebody. Let's get the best take so that when we're in the DAW, we're adding magic to it. You can't put magic on top of magic, but what you can do is just make it very presentable in a nice way. And that's why I prefer the parallel compression. I don't like to over compress my vocals. I like to bring in multiple parallel compressors. And let's look how we usually do something like this. Myself personally, I like to use something like an 1176. And I love using the universal audio version. I like to use something like maybe the all buttons in mode, or maybe even using the blue stripe 1176, just to start giving the vocal a little bit of that, the transition in between the words. The 1176, the pumping, the way it pumps and it breathes, it really helps the nuances. So let's pay attention to how when you bring in multiple parallel compressors, that it will add all of this life, all of this newfound energy and pump and presence. So let's listen to this.
Mama was down bad, them niggas ain't give a fuck, so when I'm grinding, just know I'm doing it for the fam. My old boy was never there, so I had to be kinda man. Tell my mama them to chill, we just gotta stick to the plan. Yeah. Ever since I jumped out the womb, been trying to make it. Mama, I done made it to college, yeah, I done graduated. All I had to do is sit back and let these niggas think. Yeah, I had to really come up and stay up out the way, cause ain't no love in these streets. All these niggas act like they your brother, but they creep. I put my 2 feet in, cause I'm 10 toes down. I'm saying that I love you, cause I'm hoping you gon' hold me down. Mama, I'm hurting, I've been feeling cursed. Every time when something going good, we hit reverse. My sister hold it down, she been trying to make it work. They trying to keep me tame, but I'm...
So that's the very first type of compressor that I like to use in parallel. And with the 1176, that quick release is just so amazing, because now you're starting to hear the breaths in between all of the words. I know you hear that. I keep mines at a very low level with my parallel compression. It's literally almost the same exact level. I know you hear it. It's the same level, but now there's all this movement. It's making that vocal just jump off the page, and that's why I love something like an 1176 in parallel. But I like to use multiple parallel compressors, all contributing in a different way, because once something is recorded in the digital world, sometimes it can just feel a little bit flat, because at the end of the day, it is a recording. It's like you taking a picture. Sometimes when you take a picture, well, that's all it's become. It's just become you capturing that moment, but you still kind of want to make the vocal, which is a picture, become a GIF where it's animated and it has some movement. So I think about it like that. Then we would bring something in like a CL1B. And I love using the CL1B, but in a way where you have to pay attention to the release times of the parallel compressors when you're trying to do a technique like this. Parallel compression is not all about pinning the needle down. I used to do that a lot of the times, but then over time I started to realize what it's really good for. Michael Brower kind of helped me understand that. He was that first person who created brow rising, and if you listen to his music, you listen to the way it's pumping and breathing, you will understand like, yo, like this man really has something going on in the background, like a whole nother world. And that's what I feel like about the parallel compression does. It brings in a whole nother world to the vocal. Now you really starting to feel what the person is saying, like they talking to you in real life, letting you know about his life. See, with this song, I knew I had to add in some energy because his voice was a little bit down tempo. His voice was a little bit down tempo, but that's because the beat made him be like that. A beat like this, you can't be really screaming and yelling, but we still need some energy, and that's where a CL1B comes in. It likes to give a lot of presence. I don't like to hit the CL1B too hard. I don't like to hit any of my parallel compressors hard. But I do like to use the CL1B with the slow release time, because it just helps give a dense sound right down the middle. Let's pay attention with and without.
Mama was down bad, them niggas ain't give a fuck, so when I'm grinding, just know I'm doing it for the fam. My old boy was never there, so I had to be kinda man. Tell my mama them to chill, we just gotta stick to the plan. Yeah. Ever since I jumped out the womb, been trying to make it. Mama, I done made it to college, yeah, I done graduated. All I had to do is sit back and let these niggas think. Yeah, I had to really come up and stay up out the way, cause ain't no love in these streets. All these niggas act like they your brother, but they creep. I put my 2 feet in, cause I'm 10 toes down. I'm saying that I love you, cause I'm hoping you gon' hold me down. Mama, I'm hurting, I've been been feeling cursed. Every time when something going good, we hit reverse. My sister hold it down, she been trying to make it work. They trying to keep me tame, but I've been proving that I changed. I ain't never going back, so I ain't dwelling on the past.
So pay attention to how the CL1B gives a little bit of that magic. That's what I like about Joe's plugin, is I believe he had him do something, a hybrid situation where maybe they modeled the input and the output of one or the others, but it, like that last parallel compressor on Joe's plugin specifically is like a hybrid version. So I really just love how with those parallel compressors back to back to back to back, each one of them has a function, and I love to use the CL1B to give some body and some presence. Lastly, the newest compressor that I've been using lately that I just absolutely love is the soft tube Germanium compressor. I'm using this one specifically for the color, the grit. This one is actually very versatile. You got a side chain filter, you have ratio, you have different curves and everything like that, and I will be doing a specific video just about this. That's how good it is. But the main thing about this one specifically is it has that diode bridge topology. It's a mixture between FET and diode bridge, so it's very colored. You have the option between clean and dirty compression, but it's kind of like an 1176 in the way that it uses FET components. The Germanium drive as well just gives it a real vibe, some type of distortion. So let's listen to the color.
Mama was down bad, them niggas ain't give a fuck, so when I'm grinding, just know I'm doing it for the fam. My old boy was never dead, so I had to be kinda man. Tell my mama them to chill, we just gotta stick to the plan. Yeah. Ever since I jumped out the womb, been trying to make it. Mama, I done made it to college, yeah, I done graduated. All I had to do is sit back and let these niggas think. Yeah, I had to really come up and stay up out the way, cause ain't no love in these streets. All these niggas act like they your brother, but they creep. I put my 2 feet in, cause I'm 10 toes down. I'm saying that I love you, cause I'm hoping you gon' hold me down. Mama, I'm hurting, I've been feeling cursed. Every time when something going good, we hit reverse. My sister hold it down, she been trying to make it work. They trying to keep me tame, but I've been proving that I changed. I ain't never going back, so I ain't dwelling on the past.
So you can hear that diode bridge type of components. It's just giving this weight, and the preset I'm using is body compression. So that's what all of these are doing. The 1176 giving a little bit of movement, the CL1B giving the magic, the sparkle, the stability, then the diode bridge giving the color. When I'm doing something like this, I feel like I'm a chef, like an engineer. A little bit of lemon pepper right here, a little bit hot sauce right here, a little bit of honey garlic. I feel like I'm an artist, a little bit of green, a little bit of blue, a little bit of red. So all of these things are just helping me create my own specific tone and just bringing the vocal to life. So let's listen to what it sounds like without any of the parallel compressors, how dull and flat it sounds. But when I bring in those parallel compressors, listen to how much love, how much weight, how you could just feel all his lyrics and everything he's saying in the music. And that's what parallel compression is really about, contrast in my humblest opinion. Let's look at all of the needles too as they're all moving around, and you will see that the release times are absolutely vital. That's probably the good thing about Joe's plugin, Joe Chiccarelli's plugin, is the fact that you don't need to be worrying about setting the release times and attack times, because he's already giving you like a ballpark setting that will work for you. But let's just pay attention to the needles, how they're all moving around and everything, then we'll bypass everything in and out.
Mama was down bad, them niggas ain't give a fuck, so when I'm grinding, just know I'm doing it for the fam. My old boy was never dead, so I had to be kinda man. Tell my mama them to chill, we just gotta stick to the plan. Yeah. Ever since I jumped out the womb, been trying to make it. Mama, I done made it to college, yeah, I done graduated. All I had to do is sit back and let these niggas think. Yeah, I had to really come up and stay up out the way, cause ain't no love in these streets. All these niggas act like they your brother, but they creep. I put my 2 feet in, cause I'm 10 toes down. I'm saying that I love you, cause I'm hoping you gon' hold me down. Mama, I'm hurting, I've been feeling cursed. Every time when something going good, we hit reverse. My sister hold it down, she been trying to make it work. They trying to keep me tame, but I've been proving that I changed. I ain't never going back, so I ain't dwelling on the past. Gotta focus on the present, never know when it's your last.
So as you can hear there, everything collectively, these parallel compressors back to back to back to back, they all got their function. And the last thing that I think is most important when using parallel compression is actually adding a little saturation. The beautiful thing about Joe's plugin is that he's already built in some of that drive and some of that color. But me personally, myself, when it comes to me doing a technique like this, I like to actually send all of my parallel compressors to one fader so I can't control the level, just in case if I feel like they're too loud. And I never like to use limiters on my parallel compressor, just due to the fact that I want some parts to sound a little bit louder than the other. I want them to pump and breathe. But sometimes I feel like that limiter is like kind of like a brick wall that will just take the life out of it and make it feel a little bit dull. So sometimes, you know, you can use a limiter, but for me personally, I don't like to use a limiter on my parallel compressor because I'm using it for a methodical reason, which is movement. I want that 1176 to maybe compress a little bit too much and have that needle move back. Sometimes I want that Germanium compressor to be moving in a certain way that's you're making the compressor breathe, and I want that CL1B to hold it down and stay like a rock solid foundation. But then I like to bring it to my bus stop, which is the Fatso. I do a full send, all parallel compression, and I send it into something like the Fatso. And at this point, I'm just helping it soothe into the track. I'm using the Fatso to just give it some of that tape compression. So let's pay attention to my Fatso here. The Fatso is probably one of the best UAD plugins in my humblest opinion for saturation. It gives warmth, and you have a bunch of different compression. So I'm parallel compressing the parallel compression, which is insane, but I'm also getting some saturation, got a little transformer, got a little bit of tape, warmth, and we also have a soft clip. So that's what I like to use the Fatso for. I'm actually parallel compressing my 2-track beat with the Fatso as well. So it's very important to use some of these things like saturation and parallel compression, because back in the day, they never had to worry about that. They had the board, the gear, the console. It was doing all of that for them. So you don't ever want people to listen to your music and be like, wow, you know, I like this song. It's a good song, good recording, but something about it, the heartbeat, the human element is missing. Well, that's where the parallel compression helps a lot. It brings in the human element into the vocals. It helps retain that magic that you were hearing the artist put into the microphone and put it into the music. So that's your responsibility as an engineer. Bring it to life. The music has to be an accurate representation of not only the person but what's also going on and where they're from. So I just want to say thanks a lot for being a great part of my YouTube family. If you guys did learn anything, drop it down below. Just want to say thanks a lot. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Peace.